Module 2. Sport Education and Outcomes. In the dynamic world of sport education, the broader goals and immediate objectives form the cornerstone of crafting season-specific outcomes. This approach, rooted in the ethos of learning by doing, hinges on the idea that students should not just learn about sports, but learn through them. We dive into the heart of this pedagogical strategy, understanding how the confluence of sport-specific techniques, tactics, and knowledge shapes the learning experience, and most importantly, the assessment of students' performance and understanding. Sport education is not merely about the physical act of playing a sport. It's an intricate tapestry woven with the threads of holistic development, physical, cognitive, and social. The broader goals of sport education extend beyond the boundaries of physical fitness and game rules. They encompass fostering teamwork, developing strategic thinking, and instilling a sense of commitment and sportsmanship among students. However, these lofty goals need to be distilled into more tangible, short-term objectives to be meaningful. This is where season-specific outcomes come into play. These outcomes are the concrete targets set for a particular sports season, tailored to the nature of the sport being taught. Authenticity in season-specific outcomes is paramount. These outcomes must reflect the real-world application of skills within the sport. For instance, in a basketball unit, a season-specific outcome might involve mastering the pick-and-roll technique, understanding defensive strategies, or developing the ability to read the game and make quick decisions. But why stress on authenticity? Because authentic outcomes bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical application. They ensure that what students learn in the gym or on the field is not just rote techniques, but skills that they can use in the actual context of the sport. An interesting aspect of sport education is acknowledging the role of personal factors like heredity, age, gender, and physical abilities. These factors, over which individuals have little control, significantly influence how students engage with sports. Tailoring season-specific outcomes requires an understanding of these personal factors to ensure inclusivity and fairness in education. In discussing physical skills and techniques, it's crucial to delve into the anatomy of movement. Joints, the points where bones come together, are fundamental to all sports movements. An understanding of joints and their range of motion is critical for developing sport-specific skills. Flexibility and hypermobility are key concepts here. Flexibility refers to the range of motion of a joint, essential for many sports skills. Hypermobility, on the other hand, is the ability to extend joints beyond the normal range, which can be an advantage in some sports but also a potential risk for injuries. In sport education, there's a delicate balance between participation and performance. Participation, the act of being actively involved in a sport, is often a short-term goal for many students. It's about building the habit of regular physical activity, like walking 30 minutes a day, rather than achieving high-level performance metrics. Performance, however, is about excelling in specific aspects of a sport. It's the pursuit of improving personal bests and mastering complex skills. Complex skills in sports are those that require integrating several basic skills in a sequence. They are not just about the difficulty level, but about the coordination and timing of multiple actions. Assessing students in sport education. Assessing students in sport education is not just about measuring how well they play a game. It's about evaluating their understanding of the techniques, tactics, and the cognitive aspects of the sport. This assessment should reflect the season-specific outcomes and consider the personal and environmental factors influencing the student's learning experience. Exercise principles. How much? Embarking on a fitness journey often comes with a pressing question. How much physical activity is actually enough? It's like trying to find the perfect recipe for a healthy lifestyle. The answer isn't as straightforward as it might seem, and it certainly isn't one size fits all. However, By exploring 3 basic exercise principles, we can unwrap this enigma. Let's start by diving into the deep end of the pool of exercise science. Imagine you're a chef in your own fitness kitchen. The first ingredient you need is the understanding of exercise intensity and duration. It's like trying to figure out how long to bake a cake or how much seasoning to add. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, recommend at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity per week for adults or 75 minutes of vigorous activity. But remember, more isn't always merrier. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're challenged but not overwhelmed. Now let's stir in the concept of exercise variety. Think of it as adding different spices to your dish. Performing a variety of exercises can prevent boredom and target different muscle groups. This is where circuit training comes into play. Picture yourself in a gym, moving from one exercise station to another, each with a different focus. It's a dynamic and efficient way to cook up a well-rounded fitness routine. But wait, there's more to consider. The balancing act of calories. It's like measuring ingredients for a recipe. To lose weight, you must burn more calories than you consume. A pound of fat is roughly equivalent to 3,500 calories. So, to lose that pound, you need to create a deficit of 3,500 calories through diet, exercise, or a combination of both. It's like tweaking a recipe to get it just right. Now, let's whisk in some practical advice. When starting an exercise program, the key is not to bite off more than you can chew. Begin with manageable goals. If running a marathon seems as daunting as climbing Mount Everest, start with a daily brisk walk. It's like learning to cook. You start with simple recipes before moving on to gourmet meals. Remember, exercise shouldn't feel like a chore. It's more like dancing to your favorite song or playing a sport you love. The goal is to make physical activity a regular, enjoyable part of your life, not a dreaded task. Think of it as adding your favorite toppings to a pizza. It should be something you look forward to. And don't forget the secret sauce. Consistency. Like watering a plant regularly to see it grow, consistent exercise is key to achieving your fitness goals. This doesn't mean you need to hit the gym every day. Rather, it's about finding a routine that fits into your life and sticking to it. It could be yoga on Monday, swimming on Wednesday, and a bike ride on the weekend. Variety keeps it interesting, but consistency keeps you on track. In summary, the question of how much physical activity is enough doesn't have a one-word answer. It's a blend of understanding the right intensity and duration, mixing in a variety of exercises, and balancing your caloric intake and expenditure. Like a chef perfecting a new dish, it requires experimentation, adjustment, and a dash of patience. Preventing exercise injuries. As a student delving into the world of physical fitness and yoga, you might wonder, would I know if I suffered an injury, like a broken ankle, especially while attempting a challenging yoga pose? Well, the body has a fascinating way of signaling when something is amiss. Pain, swelling, and inability to bear weight are classic heralds of a possible fracture. However, not all injuries shout their presence. Some whisper. For instance, you might not immediately realize the harm of a sprain or a strain, but your body will likely inform you through discomfort or reduced functionality. Physical activity, including yoga, is a kaleidoscope of health and wellness benefits. It's like a symphony for the body, with each movement contributing to overall harmony. But, as in any symphony, a single off note, in this case, improper exercise technique, can disrupt the melody. Most injuries in physical activities are minor and entirely preventable, but awareness is key. Imagine exercising in extremely cold, windy, and wet weather. It might sound like an adventure, but it's a recipe for hypothermia, a condition where your body loses heat faster than it can produce it. Now think of the opposite scenario, exercising in a hot, humid environment. While it might feel like an intense sauna session, it can lead to hyperthermia, where your body overheats. Both extremes are less about the thrill and more about the risk. Let's not forget another invisible factor: air quality. Exercising in areas with high levels of air pollution isn't akin to gaining superpowers in a smog-filled metropolis. Instead, it can cause breathing problems, making your lungs feel like they're working overtime in a coal mine. Clean air isn't just a preference, it's a necessity for healthy exercise. Exercising is not about pushing your limits to the extreme. Doing more than your body can handle is not a display of strength. It's an invitation to overuse injuries. These injuries are like uninvited guests at a party. They appear when you least expect them and overstay their welcome. Similarly, invisible damage to the body, or microtrauma, results from repeating a movement often. It's the body's way of saying, enough is enough. Preventing physical activity injuries, a dual approach. When it comes to preventing injuries, there are two golden rules. 1, the art of starting slow. If you're new to exercising or returning after a break, think of it as learning to dance. You wouldn't start with a complex ballet leap, would you? Similarly, start with gentle moves and gradually increase the intensity. It's not just exercising, it's about building a relationship with your body. 2, listening to your body. Your body speaks a language of its own through sensations and pain. If you feel discomfort, it's your body's way of waving a red flag. Pay attention to these signals. It's like having a conversation with your body where you both agree on what's best. A holistic approach to fitness. Being fit isn't just about lifting weights or perfecting a yoga pose. It's a comprehensive approach. It involves dressing appropriately for the activity, choosing exercises that align with biomechanical principles, and most importantly, using moderation. Fitness is not a race, it's a lifelong journey.